Welcome, everybody, to the Ultimate Advisors Resource Podcast. I'm Jordan.Pence. Our company is Advisors Resource Company. We help advisors write more life and annuity business. And today I've got a very special guest, Don Connelly, legend of the industry, advisor coach, MDRT speaker, and really all around great guy. I'm happy to know you, honored to know you, really, Don. And
Thank
today
you.
we've got, I think, the most important thing that an advisor can do in their practice to help grow it, and that is, how are the elite advisors getting referrals from their clients, and how are they doing that really well? So thanks, Don. Appreciate your time and your insight on this. So
Thanks, Jordan. Thank you.
first off, before we
Yes.
got on, we've talked in the past about it is possible to get referrals without actually asking for it. How are people doing that? Like, what is the
I have
secret
a lot
sauce?
of friends, by the way, that get referrals without asking. It's earned over time, obviously. It's not going to happen out of the gate. But the
Okay.
short answer, the wise guy answer, but actually I don't mean it as a wise guy, is you got to become referable. If you're not
Okay.
referable, you're not going to get referrals. What does it mean to be referable? We could do a whole session on that. We won't do it today. But the question you got to answer is, would you do business with yourself? I mean, I urge people to do a self-image check before you leave your apartment or your house in the morning. Look in the mirror. How do you look? I don't know why, but men notice other men's shoes. I don't know why, they just do. How do your shoes look? Is your hair combed? Do you look professional? Are you consistent with your clients? Do you talk too much? Do you wait to listen while they're talking so you can jump in? All these things add up. Because referrals it's reputational risk. When you ask someone to get, especially a high net worth individual, if you
Yep.
ask for a referral, you're asking them to put their reputation on the line. Now,
Yeah,
if
that's
someone's going to
true.
do,
Because
yeah, and
have you ever
they're very
referred somebody in and they're like, "Why'd you sick that guy on me?"
absolutely the old vacuum cleaner salesman. I
Yeah.
remember my mother being beat up by a vacuum cleaner salesman. But she'd give him referrals because you beat her up before she'd get out of the house. She'd be on the phone calling her girlfriend. Sorry, I gave this guy name. So we got to become referable. And that three things have to be, if you want to get to the point in your career where you want to get referrals without asking, three things have to fall in line. They have to click, 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 like the old on the lock, the cylinders. The first thing that has to happen to get referrals, I mean, once you become referable, once you look professional, act professional, the first requirement is the experience has to match the performance.
Okay.
Jordan, investments are table stakes. Performance, it's table stakes. What advisors do, how they do it is the same from Maine to California.
It's a commodity. It's been
It's
commoditized.
You can make a cup of coffee at home. You can go to a restaurant in your town. You can go to Starbucks. Starbucks will give you the better experience. So I'm going to ask you a question, Jordan. It's rhetorical, but I'll ask you anyway. Jordan, a new restaurant opens in your town.
Okay.
Say to your wife, let's try this new restaurant. You go there with two other couples. The food is phenomenal. One bite and you say, wow, this food is great. But you notice the service is lousy. You got to ask for things twice. Then the water glasses aren't filled. The bill doesn't come when you want it. This is terrible service. Would you go back?
No. No,
Would
no,
you
no.
recommend it to your friends?
I'd probably not. I would probably say it with a caveat. I'd say, yeah, the steak was great, but the service really sucked.
We are Italian restaurants. We're Chinese restaurants. We're all selling the same food. Franklin Income Fund is not priced better at LPL than it is at Cetera. It's the same price at Cetera. So we're all selling the same food at the same price off the same menu. It's the experience that makes, wealthy people spend money where they get the best experience. So really your competition is not Merrill Lynch or LPL. It's Disney. It's Rolex. It's Mercedes-Benz.
It's a
People pay
really
for,
good point.
the people say the hummingbird can't fly. Well, Nordstrom's can't exist. It's too expensive. But Nordstrom exists. Why do people go to why do they go to Neiman Marcus? Why do people do
Experience.
that? Because the guy that did own Shake Shack in New York also owned 11 Madison Park. It was an expensive restaurant in New York, one of them. And he said it's a 5-star restaurant. And people don't go to a 5-star restaurant for the food. Food's a given. People go
You
there for the
expect it.
experience.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. But 5 stars, when you say 5-star service, this is not a marketing slogan, Jordan. It has to hurt. You got to get off your butt and you got to be consistent. It's got to be top notch. And I may have told you this on our last podcast. Forgive me if I did this, but I'm at risk of repeating myself. 4-star service is making customer problems go away with no, just they're gone. Poof, magic, they're gone. Clock solved, clients happy, gone. 5-star service is recognizing the problem before the client even knows he or she has a problem. I'll give
Yep.
you an example I use all the time. I was speaking Lake Buena Vista, Orlando, Florida. There's a big complex, a Ritz-Carlton next to a JW Marriott, two really exclusive hotels. I was speaking at the Ritz-Carlton. So I was checking in, and again, if I told the story, forgive me. If I haven't, it's a very interesting story. I was in line with the check-in behind a young couple. They had a
Okay.
child with them, a boy probably 6 or 7 years old. The young lady behind the counter was in her 20s, but she was Ritz-Carlton trained. She was young. Obviously, she had Ritz-Carlton training. So I'm just watching this whole thing unfold. And she said, I'm going to guess you're in Orlando with a child. I'm going to guess you're going to do some sightseeing while you're here. I'm probably going to go to Disney. And they
Well,
said, exactly.
I'd assume
She said,
so.
well, there's a chance of rain tomorrow. It's forecast. Let me give you an umbrella just in case it rains. So she handed him an umbrella. I said, keep it in your room. If you don't use it, leave it in the room. If you use it, give it back to the doorman when you come in.
Wow.
That's 5-star service. That's recognizing a problem before the client even knows. They didn't know it was going to rain. She told them that.
Yep.
So what can we do for a client? You got some bad news. You don't want the client to hear from the other advisor.
No.
Your biggest client is your competition's best prospect.
Yeah. Totally.
Especially wealthy people, Jordan, talk to every firm. They know what's going on because everybody's calling them. They know what's going on at
Totally.
JP Morgan Chase, at Merrill Lynch, at Morgan Stanley, because they get the calls. So they know
Oh,
what's going on.
yeah.
So
I'm
my whole
sure they
point
do.
is, when I say the experience must match the performance, if you want to make sure that happens, you care more than clients expect you to care.
That's a really good
Every
point.
prospect who walks into your office has two sets of expectations. Number one, they expect the investments to work. This is the basic values taken for granted. If I
Stay
go
with
to a
stay
doctor, I expect to get healed. They
Yep.
come to you, I expect to be successful financially. But the other expectation is they expect the advisor to care. Caring, Jordan, has become a marketing slogan. It's a technique.
Yeah, it is.
You really cared more about me yesterday. You were a prospect then, you weren't a client. So we got to care more than people expect us to care. And I can give you I just give you a couple examples. A friend of mine who does this to a fare thee well. He does not need the money. He's extremely successful. He runs an enormous business, he and his partner, but he truly loves his clients. He said, I love my client. I love them. They love me. And love makes the world go around. It's just a big love him, the whole thing. He is in Florida, so he has an older clientele to a large extent. He walks them out of the car after the meeting. I know we talked about this before. He walks them to the car after the meeting, Jordan. He doesn't have to do that. It takes him 90 seconds, 2 minutes, whatever it is. He walks them to the car, thanks him for being his client. He brings a tire gauge out. Just in case one of their tires looks low, he'll take the tire pressure and he'll tell them to get the tire blown up. Doesn't want to break their neck on the Florida Turnpike. He goes to his older clients. I don't want you on a step stool or a 3-step step stool or a ladder. I'm going to change your smoke detector batteries once a year.
Wow.
And he's doing that because he wants to. It's not a marketing ploy. It's not a technique to get referrals. He loves doing it. The Bible says have a servant's heart. But
It
because of
does,
that,
yeah.
Jordan, he gets referrals. So that's the first requirement. Your service,
Yeah.
we're all Chinese restaurants or Italian restaurants. You've got to have the best service. And it can't be lip service. It's got to be consistent across the board. Where
Well,
wealthy people tell their friends, let me tell you what Jordan.Pence did for me today.
right, right, and it's gotta be out of, well, servant's heart, just like you just said. You don't do it because you've got to. You gotta do it because you want to, and you wanna help these people. I think that's really interesting. There's a
I had an advisor
dealership.
tell me recently, Jordan, he drove 4 hours each way, 8 hours driving to go to a funeral of a client. No one talked to him. No one thanked, but he said they knew he was there. He said, so did I waste 8 hours because no one gave me an attaboy? I don't think so.
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. And there's certainly something to service. I mean, there's a dealership chain called Sewell here in Dallas Fort Worth. And I think they're in other places, but I bought my last car from them, and I will probably buy
Oh,
my
I'm
next
sure. It's
car
very
from them.
famous. Cadillac.
Exactly.
Yeah, very famous.
And the main reason why is like even the service department has the same. I might be just going in for a oil change or whatever. They give you a car. They clean your car every time. Drive the car, drive the rental car as far as you want. Don't worry about tolls. Don't worry about gas. You know, I'm sure I'm paying a premium for that oil change or whatever, or I paid a premium for my car, but man, that's it's worth it. You know.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's absolutely worth it. So that yeah, that's the number one thing. The experience has to match the performance.
So you're saying, um, to get referrals without asking for them, you need to have a level of service that is really 5 star, I guess. I mean,
Yeah,
that's essentially
or as
what you're
close as
saying.
5 stars you can get.
And it's gotta exceed or at least match the performance of the underlying products that you're selling.
Jordan, yeah, let me ask you a question, Jordan. A couple comes to see you. They say, Jordan, our goal at age 65 is to own a home in Texas fully paid for. Want a getaway condominium in Iowa for the summertime up on a lake in Iowa, fully paid for as well. Want to educate our kids at the best schools we can afford, UT or whatever, and we'd like $3 or $4 million in the bank. That's our goal, our life goal. So I would say to you, you do that. Is
Yeah.
that great service, Jordan, or is that your job?
And that's the job. That's the job that we signed up
A
for.
great service. They came to you. They didn't say we're going to buy a lottery ticket and go see Jordan.Pence. They came to you because they expect those things to happen. So the question becomes, what's the definition? Where does great service begin, Jordan? Exceeding the client's expectations.
That's a really good
So
point. Yeah,
every
you're
FA should be, our agent should be asking their clients when they sit down for the first meeting, as a referral, as a prospect, what is it you expect of me? I got a
yeah,
friend that
that
asked his clients, his prospects, what do I have to do to get fired? You fired somebody else to come see me. What do I have to do to get fired? Why'd you
yeah,
fire
what
that guy?
why'd you get rid of the first guy? That's
Yeah,
good
the answer to
insight.
9 times out of 10 is lack of communication.
I'm sure of that.
It's the way marriages dissolve. It's the way client advisor relationships dissolve. You stop talking, you're in trouble.
I believe that 100%. You're probably exactly right about that.
So so that's great. I mean, exceed the client's expectations. I don't look at getting financially successful with you as a bonus. If I come see you, Jordan, I could drive a Volkswagen, I can drive a Mercedes. I expect both cars to get me there because the basic value of an automobile is transportation. If I want transportation, I'll buy a Hyundai or a Honda. I won't buy a Mercedes.
Right.
Why would you buy a Mercedes? Well, I want the added value. So the key is added value. Great service is added value. You got to outperform the other guy, the gal or guy across the street.
Yep.
Because wealthy people spend money where they get the best. Wealthy people don't respond to advertising, first of all. They network. They
Yep.
talk to their
Yep.
friends, their peers.
Yep.
Where'd you buy your boat?
Yeah.
Who replaced the roof on your house? Our things by referral. We do business by referral in America. Do you have a good dentist? Do you have
I
a financial advisor I can talk to? What if someone says, yeah, I got a guy, but I don't like him. He's got no personality. He's just blah. You're not going to get a referral. They have to
no,
like you,
even if
trust you, think you're smart. Those three
even
things.
if he's even if they said, "Yeah, you know what? He's got me good returns, but, he doesn't call me back." Well, I probably wouldn't go
Yeah,
see him.
yeah. Like you, trust you, think you're smart. We all do business with people we like. If you don't return my calls, I'm not going to like you very much.
No, obviously not.
So when
So,
you get a referral, that reputational risk again, we're putting our name on the line.
yeah, I it's hard to give a referral because you are concerned, especially if, you have a good relationship with your friend or whatever, even a colleague. You don't, I don't know if I wanna refer him to Joe. He did an okay job for me or whatever, you know? Um, I think that's such an interesting point,
I get an advisor
really.
I send referrals to in my hometown, and without fail, people call me and say, God, what a great guy. Thanks for sending me to him.
That's gonna increase the amount of referrals you get for
And
sure.
he's never asked me for referrals, by the way. We went out to dinner, or, the four of us went out to dinner one night, and he said, I'm paying for dinner. I said, it's not necessary. He said, no, I'm forgetting Mike and Joanna's clients. I want to buy you dinner. He thanked me that way. He doesn't call me and ask me for referrals. He just puts his money where his mouth is.
Goes a long way, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Goes
that's
a
number
long
one. The second thing, Jordan, if you want to get referrals, is the client has to be able to explain what it is you do in one or two sentences.
Yep. Okay.
In one or two sentences.
Yep. How many people overcomplicate that in our business?
If I said to you, you should go see Jordan.Pence, what I love about him, he has great portfolio construction methodology. No, I'd say
That's
he's
not
a
gonna
great
work.
guy and I love him and you should go see him.
Yeah, that's
But
yeah.
I had an advisor tell me, he was a Jones advisor to me, he was in a mall by himself, and along comes a client walking at him with a stranger. So literally the client stopped the advisor and said to his buddy, "This is my financial advisor, Joe. I don't know what he does, but he's really good at it." So we've got to be able to explain. This gets
Did
overlooked
the
by
advisor
advisors.
tell you that story, or what did the client
Advisor
tell you
told me
that?
this story.
Oh my gosh.
Because Jordan, referrals don't happen in your office. They happen on the golf course.
Yeah, they do.
They happen at dinner.
Yep.
So if a client, that's why you've got, when you give a presentation, you've got, you never ask a client, how's this, what do you think? People don't decide on what they think. How does this make you feel?
Been
How does what
I
I told you make you feel? Tell
so
me what I just told you. Sum it up for me. They're not going to say, I love your whole thing on downside capture. It's pretty awesome. They got to
yeah, that
say,
was so smart.
well, I was in a meeting where a guy got his 25-year pin with the same firm. That's a market distinction in this day and age. Big producer, biggest producer in the complex, Miami complex. And the complex manager said, Pedro, tell the younger advisors what you say to people when you meet. What's your value prop, basically? And he said, how do you explain what you do? He said, I tell people it's my job to find your financial pain and make it go away.
That's so good.
Now, if it's
That is
self-employed
so good.
people, you know that pain's going to be taxes, right?
Yep.
I
That's
mean,
so that's great. Yeah,
I
that's
got a
really
friend that
good.
sold a very large life insurance policy in a matter of seconds. I mean, the premium was 6 figures. He did it in probably 30 seconds. And I'll tell you the story because it's a whole thing about him, but explaining what it is he got a call from a lifelong friend of his. They'd never done business. They were childhood friends. This guy went on to become extremely successful. My guy went into the insurance business, successful agent. So the guy called him one day and said, my board of advisors tells me I need blankety blank insurance, this amount of insurance.
Sure.
A whole life insurance with the firm as a beneficiary. I want you to come over and tell me if I need it. And if I do, I want you to sell it to me.
That's
Excuse
great.
me. So my firm went there. He said the guy brought his secretary in the office, his assistant, so she could take notes so he could focus on what my friend was saying. So he said, do I need life insurance? And if so, why? A lot of life insurance. He said, yeah, you do. He said, why? He said, when a man loves a woman, really loves her, every time he looks at her, she gets more beautiful. And I've seen the way you look at your wife. That's why you need this.
Wow.
So my friend said she started crying. The client started crying. My buddy was crying. But how would this guy explain what he wouldn't say this guy's great with whole life versus term.
No.
You see, this guy's, I'd say to people, I help you solve your problems and keep you up at night. That's what I do.
Yeah, you would say about that guy, the life insurance agent, you'd say, "Man, he really understands
He gets it.
what matters to me,"
He gets
like
it. Or
yeah.
if I say, you're going to go see Jordan.Pence because Jordan solves problems that keep us up at night. We go to Jordan with our problems. WWJD, what would Jordan do?
Exactly.
That's what we
That's what
do.
all those bracelets mean.
So that's the second thing. So the first thing is the experience has to match the performance. The second thing is you get on this whole thing of explaining what you do. And I know we talked about it before, so I'm not going to dwell on it. But there's a bias called the curse of knowledge, the curse of
Yes.
expertise. And
Yes.
what it is the more you do this, the harder it becomes to explain what you do to someone who doesn't have your level of expertise. You assume they
Totally.
do. You assume they have a certain level of expertise, when in reality they don't. My wealthiest clients didn't go to college. They were high school dropouts that built a business and worked 40 years and became very successful. I have a client who's a Fortune 100 CEO. He's dyslexic. You
Wow.
cannot give him a complex presentation. He needs it written on a business card.
Yep.
And that's how we communicate. Mike Krzyzewski, the coach, grew up with a learning disability. So he learned to speak in analogies and parables.
Wow.
It's got
Yeah.
to be easy to repeat. It's got
It
to be a repeatable, easy thing to understand. So, number one, the experience has to be phenomenal. It's going to be like going to 11 Madison Park Restaurant or to Gramercy Tavern. It's going to be, in Dallas, there are great restaurants. That
We have
restaurant high up
such
on
good food in Dallas, it's
the one
insane.
on the top of the skyscraper, that real
Oh,
fabulous
yeah?
restaurant, I forget the name of it.
Yeah.
That's the experience. People don't go to a five-star restaurant for the food. They come for the experience. Food's a given. Food's table stakes. They
You
come for the
expect it.
experience. They're treated like kings and queens.
Yup.
Your
You
client
totally
must
expect
think
it.
that he or she is your only client when they know in their heart they're not. But when they walk in the door, time stops. There's nothing on your desk. You don't look at your watch. You don't look at your phone. No one interrupts. It's their time. My brother-in-law was trained by the Mayo Clinic. When he shuts that door, it's not a 6-minute look at your watch like all doctors do. He's Mayo trained. He'll give you all the time you want because that's the way
You
he's trained.
that's an interesting point because I've been in meetings with people and, like, they have the smartwatch, right? And the smartwatch starts going off, and they check the smartwatch, and it could be just like a text message or a phone call or whatever, and even if they don't attend to it, it's like, man, that is so distracting.
A lousy message to send.
It's a lousy exactly, and I know they don't do it intentionally. I know that it's just, a habit or whatever because they've got the smartwatch, but it's like, man, it makes you all of a sudden feel like you're not nearly as important as you actually are.
I had a good advice. One of my advisors, my buddy who says, what do you have to, whatever to get fired? He had a couple come in and they had fired their advisor. And he asked them why. And they said, well, you know what? We actually go to church with her. She's in our church. We love her. She's a good friend, but this is a very delicate situation. She's a single mom and she has kids at home. So she had nanny cams installed in her home and the monitors in her office. So the whole time, she doesn't mean to do it. She's not rude. She's lovely. They love her. But her eyes are continually flicking over to the nanny cam. And it's
Yup,
like, are you listening to me or not?
yup, yup. Oh, it's the
I hear it all the time. Why'd you fire your advisor? Because the guy only calls when he wants to sell me something. I hear that all the time.
Well, he's gotta eat, Don, come on.
The curse of knowledge, you've got to learn. Parables have lived for thousands of years because there are immense amounts of wisdom in a few words.
Yup,
You can go anywhere in the world and say, let sleeping dogs lie.
yup,
People know exactly what you mean. Where there's smoke, there's fire.
yup.
That's the way we've got to learn to talk.
Yeah, we do.
You know,
It's hard.
in the old days of mutual funds, we'd say, literally, my buddy Edward Jones would put a cake on the table, and then he put all the ingredients on the table to bake a cake. Said the cake is the mutual fund. This is individual stocks over here. How do you want to buy it? Want to put it together yourself or buy the ready-made cake? That's a simple explanation.
That's a
So if
really
the
good
biggest compliment
example.
you can get is Jordan.Pence keeps it simple.
Yeah.
If you can get that being so, you need story. Everyone's gone to Disney's got a Disney story about how the service
Mhm,
blew them away.
mhm.
You go to Disney, when you go with the young kids, they kneel down and talk to your kids eyeball to eyeball. I
Yep.
mean, they blow them away. So
Oh,
you
yeah.
need Disney stories about you flying around,
Yeah.
and you get them, and it's all good.
Yeah.
That's how we do. We okay. The third thing. So number one, the performance has to match. The experience has to match the performance.
Yep.
Secondly, the client has to be able to explain what you do in one or two
Yep.
sentences. The third component that has to be in place is the results have to feel credible. You don't have to be a perfect financial advisor, but you got to get good results that the client understands your methodology. You make
That
it
ma
clear what you're doing.
So, what do you mean by that? Like, almost restating the benefits of what you've done over the past 5
Clients
years
don't
or
expect
so?
perfection. Here's what they expect, Jordan. They expect discipline, consistency, calm leadership.
Okay.
So when it feels credible is he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
This guy's really good. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Here's an analogy I like to use to people. When you give somebody a referral, you're sending them over a bridge.
Yep.
I suppose there are two bridges, Jordan. One is straight, well lit, easy. The other is gnarly and twisty and windy and a rope bridge. Which
Right.
bridge you going to send them across?
The easier one, the straight
Well,
one,
that's the better advisor.
yeah.
The one who gives great service, he explains things really well. You understand what he's doing and why.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
want them
yeah.
to think, you're an alchemist and you're gonna do all this magic behind the curtain and get them retired. I love the word collaborate. I don't build portfolios. I collaborate with you.
Right, right.
I mean, that was the whole, not that I sold, that was the whole idea behind the old socially conscious funds in the old days. You don't like liquor or firearms, fine, but we're gonna collaborate. We're gonna do this together. Because I want you to, it's really important you understand what I'm doing so you can explain it to your friends.
That I think is a good point, and that's how you get more referrals, I
Yeah.
guess.
Those three things will get you a ton of referrals without asking. But first of all, you got to become referable. You can't go there with messy clothing or, I've said advisors walking with crazy hair. You can't distract from the mission. You got to be, I don't recommend in Boston you wear cowboy boots.
No, that's probably not a good idea,
Maybe in
but in
Dallas it's a good idea, not in
In Fort
Boston.
Worth, you'll be alright, that's for sure, but
Boston's a pinstripe suit. I mean, it's people say, well, how should I dress as an advisor? No one wears neckties. You dress the way your clients expect you to dress.
yeah,
If
yep.
you're in Florida, every one of your clients is a retiree playing golf. Maybe you wear a golf shirt. Maybe. I'm too old. I'm too generation. I still wear a coat and tie. I probably should
I
have for this webinar. But
sorry, you're in
it's
Florida.
all of that. It's all that, Jordan. You got to be referable. Then you got to make the experience worth you got to it's got to equal or better the performance. Performance has to be great. Experience has to be great as well. Performance has to be good, consistent. Then you got to be able to explain what you do, and it's got to feel believable what you're doing.
Yep,
It's not
yep.
smoke and mirrors. They understand the basic concepts. They're never going to rise to your level of expertise. They're not focused on downside capture, but they know what diversification means and that they're in different sectors and you're going to protect it on the downside. They understand all of that. And the other thing is, and now I don't want to get caught on this, but you got to just make sure they understand you don't listen to short-term noise. You can let them focus on the journey. You to make sure they know you're focused on the destination, not
You
the
gotta
journey.
be a rock in the storm or whatever the analogy
Yeah, and
is.
I'm going to give your listeners or your watchers 3 questions they can ask all clients who are nervous in times of volatility. People don't know this country is very long. So this is one way of becoming credible. People don't know that we have a long-term track record in this country of investing. New York Stock Exchange, if you ask the average advisor when did it open, they'll have no idea. Opened in the 1790s, the Buttonwood Tree Agreement. So we got 250
Wow.
years of experience, basically,
Yeah.
close to it. The Dow Jones, 1896, and NASDAQ in the early 70s, 72. So would you agree, Mr. and Mrs. Klein, with a long-term track record of investing? And I will role play with you, George, as you're my client. And
Okay.
you're concerned, and I want you to feel secure. So, and I want to feel credible. So I say, Jordan, I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Um, First question is true or false. Jordan, the stock markets are going up and down since 1792.
True.
Every time it's gone down, it's come back. Is that true or false?
So far, yeah, that's true.
I'm going to ask you a second question, also true or false. When it's gone down and come back, is it eventually going to set a new high?
That's true.
Third question, we know the market's going to go down, Jordan. We know it's going to come back. We know eventually it's going to set a new high. How on earth do so many people lose money in the market?
'Cause they react emotionally.
Fear is a bigger emotion than greed.
Fear is a
I
bigger
am
emotion
your
than greed.
behavior
Yep.
coach, Jordan. I don't manage the money. Franklin, BlackRock, Vanguard, what manages the money? My job is to help you set your goals and hold you accountable till we reach those goals. I'm your behavior coach.
Okay, that is golden because so many people, especially over the past like 5 years, and speaking more in investment side, are like they think they're geniuses because the whole market's gone up and everybody's made money, and it's been easy, somewhat easy.
Yeah, don't confuse brains with a bull market. It's the old adage.
Exactly.
When Ross
Yeah.
Perot ran against George H.W. Bush in the old days, he said, he was talking about Bush's wealth and trying to make a point. He said, George Bush was born on third base and thought he hit a triple. Ross Perot was richer than Bush, probably.
Yeah,
He's
you're
trying to
probably
make a
right.
point. So yeah, we
That
can't confuse
analogy,
brains with the bull market. We got to be humble. Humility is a huge, huge part of relationship building.
yeah, that's an amazing analogy.
Just people are voice act. When I meet strangers, people are voice activated. You go to a
Yeah,
social networking event, it's 30 people don't know what to say to each other.
yeah.
You walk up, say, "Hi, I'm Jordan.Pence." I always feel awkward at these things. The
Yeah.
other guy's going to go, ah, me too. Wow, we connected. We just connected because I'm awkward too. And it's got to feel credible.
Yeah. Definitely. No, that's funny.
So those are the
So
three things. I didn't want to belabor a point, but those three things are really, really important.
I think so for sure. And I think when I first got in the business, my GA manager, whatever you want to call him, he always told us, always, no matter what you're doing for the day, wear a suit and tie to the office or when you're out doing business because you never know who you're going to run into.
Well, also,
And I
Jordan, if
thought
you
that
think about it, there's never a moment when you're not an insurance agent or financial advisor.
good point.
You don't take your hat off on the weekends. You go to a baseball game, sit next to a stranger. You're still an advisor.
Good point.
So you don't have to wear a suit to a baseball game, but you better look presentable.
Yeah, yeah. You shouldn't look sloppy, and you shouldn't, do whatever. You should present yourself respectably. I guess you could say.
Clients love consistency. They don't
Yeah,
like erratic behavior.
yeah.
People don't
Especially
think
when
in
you're
touch
talking about
points. They
money.
walk in your office, and your receptionist has a bad day and snaps at them, but you are nice and your assistant's nice. They don't say that was a two-thirds good meeting. That was a lousy meeting. I didn't walk out of there feeling good.
They just say it was a terrible meeting.
So the question is, your brand, all a brand is a feeling. How do you make people feel? When you
Yeah.
walk out in a Walmart, how do you feel? When you walk into Neiman Marcus, how do you feel? When people walk away from you at a cocktail party or in steps at church or whatever, how do they feel? That's your brand. I love this guy. He's outgoing. He's friendly. He's smart. He's cool. People are voice activated. They're shy. The greatest social fear in America is public speaking. The
Well,
second
yeah.
greatest social fear is fear of meeting strangers, believe it or not. Well documented. People don't know how because they don't know how. You figure it out. That's the best way to get referrals and prospect in the world is figure out, understand people are voice activated. Be friendly, be nice. The most recognizable sign in the world from 20 feet away is a smile. Smile.
Yeah.
No one smiles anymore. Everyone walks around like they got a gun or something. Smile.
Well, another thing about it is too, put down the phone.
Put down the
You know,
phone. Go, yeah. Yeah. Go meet people.
go and talk to people. So you mentioned 20. You mentioned a dozen points about referrals, and then your best referral strategy.
Well, I'm going to ask you which one do you want to go. I don't know how much time we have left.
Let's talk about the best referral strategy.
All right. It's going to involve a lot. I'm going to tell you two.
All right,
It's going to involve a
let's
lot
hear
of
it.
work.
Okay.
Both of them involve. There's no magic cure here.
Well, it's a lot of work to grow your business. I mean, you can do it
Yeah.
the hard way through marketing.
So I'm going to give you the two best ideas I've ever heard, and we'll see if we get any time left. There's an enormous team in a major city. I mean, probably the biggest team in America, or one of them certainly. I heard the Rainmaker speak, and he was asked, "How do you meet so many wealthy people? How do you run in that crowd? Are you in a tuxedo every night, Saturday night, writing a check for $1,000 to American Cancer Society? I can't afford to do that. I can't afford to, I can't go to black tie events every week. How do
Right,
I meet
right, right.
wealthy people?" He said, when I meet somebody, I'm going to use my wife as an analogy. He said, my wife is very attractive, he said. I am way out of my league. When I was young, I was just an average guy. She was gorgeous. And I wanted to date with her. And I just sucked it up and asked her on a date, and I'm shocked she said yes. Well, lo and behold, we had a good time. She had no intention of marrying me. She wasn't going to be my wife at that point. It was the first date. But we had a good time. And I got a second date, which is hard, as you know, to get to the first date.
Yeah.
And I got a bunch of dates, and pretty soon we started going steady. And now we get into the groove, and we became engaged. And eventually we got married, and here I am today. He said, wealthy people are like my wife. They don't want to get married on the first date. I have a question I ask people if I want to continue the relationship and I like them and they pass the test and they're wealthy, I will say, Jordan, let me ask you a question. What do you like to do for fun? So you tell me, Jordan, what do you do for fun?
Usually golf, fish.
Good. And I love
Yeah.
to golf. Can we play golf sometime?
I'd love to. That sounds
There we
great.
go. There we go. There we
Easy.
go. Now, he said he got on a board of a philanthropic organization. On the board were members of like Coca-Cola and UPS and Delta and really big companies. One of the guys on the board was a CFO of a major company.
Okay.
And he said, I told him, he said, I love to play golf. And I said, me too. We played golf. And I told him our first round of golf, what I do for a living. He knows I work for XYZ firm. I know what he does for a living. We played golf for 15 years and never mentioned it again.
Wow.
One day we played once a week, twice a month for 15 years. One day, 15 years later, I'm strapping up, put my shoes on. And he said, this big, major international company is putting its 401k up for bid. Would you like to bid on part or all of that? This firm bid, and they won a big portion of that 401k. And that put them over the top. They're one of the most giant firms in the world, teams in the world.
Wow.
Just imagine somebody, what I can do for fun. So that's a great question to ask people.
Talk
Because
about
no
a
one wants to get
long
married on the
game.
first date.
Holy cow.
I like to walk my dog. I'm a photographer. I like to swim. I like to play pickleball. I like to play golf. I like to play tennis. If you can do it, you see, the guy says to me, I skydive. I'm not going to say, can I try it with you
Yeah.
sometime?
Yeah. Why
But
don't
if
you
he says,
take
I
me
play
next time?
pickleball or I play golf or I play tennis or I walk my dog or I like to jog, I'm going to say I'm all over it.
So he treats it more as really just building a relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's one idea.
That's so simple.
The second idea, which I really love, is from a friend of mine, a dear friend named Richard Capalbo.
Okay.
Richard is a great coach. Find him on LinkedIn, find him on YouTube, wherever. He's really good at what he told me an idea. He used to run California, Southern California, for one of the major firms. He and his partner were the sales managers for that firm. I don't know if Richard gave somebody this idea or somebody gave Richard the idea, but here was the idea. Actually, I'll tell you what, two parts. The advisor said, it's hard to get to wealthy people. Because wealthy, Robin Hood always had bodyguards when he walked through the forest. Wealthy people have bodyguards. They're called CPAs, attorneys,
Yep.
agents, or whatever.
Other advisors.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prospect people who have access to wealthy people. I'm going to create 25 centers of influence that deal with wealthy people every single day. I have the list in front of me, which I'll give to you if you listeners want it, but
Yeah,
I'm
that'd be
just going to
great.
read you
That'd be a
some
good
of them.
download.
I'm going to prospect oncologists, fine art dealers, juvenile defense lawyers, owners of assisted living facilities, contractors, high-end car dealers, personal trainers, wedding planners, fence installers, landscapers, golf pro, home inspector. It goes on and on and on and on. He would call them up and say, my name is so-and-so, and I work for XYZ firm. As you
Right.
can imagine, we handle money some of the wealthiest families in the Southern California area. Now, you and I both know in the next 18 months, one of my dads or moms is going to need an oncologist. Is going to need a purebred dog. They're going to buy a dog. Is
Sure.
going to need a personal concierge, a personal trainer.
Mhm.
They're going to call me because I'm a trusted family advisor. Now, I want to know, I'm not going to refer anybody cold. So I'm trying to get to know a personal concierge who I think is really good and really high. And I want to come see you. I don't want your account. I'm not prospecting. I want to buy you lunch. And I want you to know me and I want to know you. So when a wealthy client asks for referrals, you can give them my name. Do you know a financial? You train a lot of people. You know a good financial advisor. You are a wedding planner. You know a good financial advisor. You are a fence installer. Ever installed a fence for a financial advisor? It
Wow.
took him a year and a half. He blew through 25 names. But at the end of 18 months, Jordan, he had 25 centers of influence actively looking for referrals for him.
Wow.
How's that for a great prospecting idea?
That is a great idea, and it just shows you the power of basically networking beyond, just the normal like, you think of, like, attorney, CPA as, like, people to get as a center of influence, but to expand that beyond that is actually very smart.
Richard called the general manager of a very exclusive hotel, Ritz, in his area. And I just want to compliment you, and you're just a great hotel. Just thank you and compliment you. But I tell you what, you got a major problem. I want to explain to you what your problem is. Can I buy you lunch? The GM said, yeah. And as I sat down, the guy said, what's my problem? Richard said, you provide the finest service in the Southern California, fabulous restaurant. Everything's great. But you don't have a golf course. And I know your clients play golf. What do you do when one of your wealthy clients wants to play golf? Oh, we have arrangements with several golf courses in the area. He said, no, those are public courses, man. You don't want that. Look, he belongs to a country, well-known country club in the area. Here's what I want to do. You get someone that wants to play golf. You call me. I'll take him to my club and I'll have him play golf and I'll deposit him back here. But he said, I want something in return. He said, what do you want? He said, I want 3 tickets to the Rose Bowl parade. Or the Rose Bowl or the game, whatever it was. I want something back. You guys, so I made that deal. So he
Wow.
would pick people up. Say a business guy's in from Ohio or a gal, they always bring their assistants with them. So
Sure.
I got 2 people that want to play golf. Fine. He picks them up, takes them to the club, they play golf, have lunch. Guys, what do I owe you? Richard said, it's on me. Get out of here. Why would you do that? It's because this is a service I provide to others like playing golf and it's so different. They said, well, you know what? When you're in Ohio, you call me, we'll go to my course. Richard said, really? Because I'm going to be there in a month. That's interesting. He said, now when I go to his golf course or her golf course, I'm not playing with their assistant, I'm playing with their peers. I get to
Yeah.
force them with my Mr. Rich and 3 of his buddies, 2 of his buddies. So I get more referrals doing that than any other way.
That is an interesting, very interesting strategy. That is really, really a good. Because now, I mean, you're sort of have a captive audience. You're either going to build a relationship with you, or you're going to learn that you guys can't work
These are
together.
unique ideas because wealthy people, high net worth individuals are unique individuals. I'll give you a much
Yeah.
more common way to get referrals, much more common way. My buddy was very, very good at his accounts are between 500,000 and probably $1,500,000. So they're not super big, they're not super small. They're
Middle America.
yeah, middle America. he when he gets a couple that likes to travel as clients or 2 couples, he'll invite them in for a private session. He brings in a flight attendant, show them how to pack for a long trip. And he
That's a
said,
good
I want you to
idea.
bring your friends. You got some friends that like to travel. I want you to bring them in. We're going to have wine and cheese. This flight attendant or pilot, whoever it is going to teach us how to pack for a long trip.
That's a great idea. So simple.
Yeah, the other, I know the other people, they probably listen to all know the other ideas. I'm going to help you set up an Uber account. Anybody needs help with an Uber account. Anybody that needs help how to use their iPad beyond getting the news and emails, how to really use an iPad thoroughly. That's stuff I love to do for people. You know, I had
That's a
another friend with a great idea. He said, I just scored a huge home run. He had a client retiring. He called the client and he said, called his wife actually and said, your husband and you are among my favorite clients ever. Would you mind if I threw a surprise retirement party for your husband? He said, I think that'd be a
oh,
great idea. He said, great. We'll do it at my house on such and such a date. You give me the names and phone numbers of your best friends. I'll call them, get them over to my house, and we'll throw a surprise party for Joe. They, say, they show up. He says, I'm Joe's financial advisor. Welcome.
yeah, seriously. Oh my gosh, talk about a great way to get some prospects. Because surely the guy has 20 friends that are gonna come.
So it's really thinking outside the box. You can't ask for referrals. Because first of all, when
Uh-uh.
you ask me for a referral, I don't know if you're talking from my high school friends, my college friends, like saying, where do I go fishing in Canada? You got to
Yeah.
narrow it down. I want to go fishing for trout within 10 miles of Ottawa. Okay, now we're talking.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
got to
yeah,
direct
yeah.
people. Who do you know who has a problem with long-term care? Who do you know who is thinking about retirement? Who do you know has just had a baby? Because that narrows it down. But you got
Yep.
to be referable. You're not going to embarrass me. You're not going to hound my friends.
Well, and there's a lot of, other strategies that I've heard are like feed the name, right? Like, so hey, I know you know Sally, and I've been trying to get a hold of Sally. Do you mind introducing us? Things like that. But I think going back to the original point, they're not going to do that unless you're referable, um,
Yeah, and
to
say, we
begin
just
with.
solved a huge retirement problem for you. Do you have friends facing a similar situation? Make it
Yeah,
specific.
yeah, that's a good
And
one
you
as
don't have to
well.
keep asking. They'll give you a referral at some point if they think you're good. The other thing is Americans don't sit around talking about their money.
No.
Europeans do, I find. But if you have a barbecue at your house and the guys are out in the patio drinking beer and flipping burgers, they're not going to discuss how big their IRA is.
No, it's somewhat taboo here in America, so people
Yeah.
generally avoid it.
So
As
territorial integrity, you don't go there.
exactly.
So
So,
people don't sit around, generally speaking, talking about money.
yeah, generally speak yeah, I think you're 100% right. I mean,
But
that's
if
that
someone says,
that
I
part.
was my financial advisor today, God, this guy makes me feel good. He overcame
Yeah.
a huge problem for us. I can sleep now. I can finally sleep at night.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, no,
what's her name?
yeah, that's a really good point because Yeah, it's just a little taboo and people just keep to themselves about it, it seems like. So, well, Don, I appreciate it. This is
Thank
really
you.
good.
That's my 2
Um,
cents worth on me right
that
to
was a little
earn
more
'em, you
than
don't
that was about
goddamn
$2 worth, Don.
yeah. Never
So,
have to ask.
you've got the Substack that you're putting out with,
Substack, yeah,
advice.
call them on Substack. Substack's an app if you don't know Substack. It's called
Mhm.
Don Connelly's Wit and Wisdom. I have 2 levels of subscription. One is free, one is paid. I would urge you to please go there and become a subscriber. That's how I build my tribe, word of mouth, and I would love to have you every Monday morning for the free subscribers. I send out, in fact, last week it was about referrals, something like this every Monday morning, free. You get an in-depth look at how to close, how to get referrals, how to whatever. And then if you're
That's
paid,
great.
it's even a deeper dive.
That's great, and, you know, we're in a people business, we're in a selling business. I mean, you've gotta hone your skills if you wanna get to the next level. I think that's the bottom line. That's why we
Yeah,
do this. That's
yeah.
why, people like you exist, Don.
Jordan, we're all blue collar workers in the white collar world. You got to go in every single day and put knobs on the radio, year after year. You hone your craft over time.
Yep.
It takes
Yep.
10 years to become good at anything.
100%.
To be world
And
class.
it's not about what you know per se. It's more about, how good you are on the people skills.
How do you make clients only have there's only one question a client will ever ask in his mind. One question. Can I trust you? Nothing else. Well, yeah, you gotta have good performance. You gotta be smart. You gotta be likable. But
Gotta
basically,
look the
can I
part,
trust
all
you?
that. Yeah,
That's
no.
so you gotta be trustworthy and likable and smart and consistent. But it's a combination of competence and likability.
Yep.
People
Yep.
don't like incompetent or competent jerks. Being a jerk and being competent is not enough. You gotta be lovable and competent.
Yeah, and then a competent jerk will not have as much success as
Mildly wanted, very mild. Lovable stars, greatly wanted. That's how we network.
yep, yep. So, Don, thanks again. We're gonna put out a replay on this. I'll actually, if you wanna send over that list of, COIs,
Yeah,
we'll
I'll send it
include
over the
that
phone.
as a download, and, everybody check out Don on Substack and, Wit and Wisdom, and, thanks again, Don.
You got it. I'll send you that list this morning. Thanks, Jordan.
Alright. Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody. Thank you.